Hi, can your boss phone you outside of work hours? Following Portugal's new law preventing companies from contacting employees outside of working hours, people have been calling for similar changes in the UK. In the UK, there is currently no official law that bans bosses from contacting employees out of working hours and outside of work. However, people have a human right to a private life, or rather, a reasonable exemption of privacy, expectation of privacy. Bosses must respect this, and you cannot be monitored everywhere. And companies may also have their own internal policies that they enforce, which prevents workers from being contacted outside of working hours. It can mean that the general end of the day cut-off that used to exist with a simple act of going home has had its lines blurred. It means that though no strict laws say that you cannot be contacted outside hours, switching off and not answering your emails outside of working hours should not be frowned upon, because if you're unavailable or busy, then you can't respond to messages and are unavailable. Don't forget, your friends outside work know this too. Also, you know they'll get back to you or you'll get back to them when you can. In my experience, my supervisor moaned at me because I didn't answer or respond to a message. This is unacceptable, as you are not required to answer, especially if you're busy or otherwise engaged. Again, privacy is privacy, and if you're unavailable, you're unavailable. At the moment, the trade unions are trying to push for a ban on contacting outside of work in Parliament. According to your basic rights, you should have at least 11 hours uninterrupted rest between finishing work and starting work the next day. Hence why some bosses frown on making their staff work back-to-back shifts, e.g. late evenings to straight back in the next morning. Andrew Pakes from The Independent says, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, "It's unacceptable for bosses to contact workers out of hours. Let us switch off. We wouldn't allow our employers to knock on our front doors at dinner time, demanding answers to work questions. So why do we accept that behaviour digitally?" In other words, why do we accept it through text and stuff? Research has found that 44% of workers suffer from mental health issues due to what they see as their employer's preference of an ever-present, always-on culture, creating blurred lines between work and life. E.g., you feel like you're not living a life. The majority of UK workers would support the introduction of new laws supporting a right to disconnect from their employer. A survey of more than 1,000 UK adults by market research from firm Ipsos found that 6 in 10 are in favour of introducing a law or giving them the right to ignore work-related communications outside of their contracted hours. Although again, you can do this anyway, because if you're unavailable or busy, that's the way it goes. It's out of your hands and theirs. More than half of the UK workers deem it unacceptable for their employer to expect them to respond to emails, texts, calls and instant messages sent by their boss during private or leisure time, the survey found. 60% would support the UK government introducing a right to disconnect law, including 34% who would strongly support it. Right now, 2/3 of the UK workers said they participate in work-related communications outside of their work hours, and with just 30% abstaining completely from communication with their workplace outside of their contracted hours, because it's their right. As some experts say, there is clearly support for legislation that protects the work-life balance. But will something as prescriptive as legislation actually impinge on the flexibility many have embraced over the last 2 years? Businesses should work with their employees to provide an environment that offers flexibility and a healthy work-life balance, so that we can all benefit from this new way of working. A number of European countries have already moved forward with the right to disconnect laws. Belgium, for example, recently introduced legislation that effectively bans civil service bosses from contacting employees when they are not at work, apart from in emergency or otherwise exceptional circumstances. Younger people are most likely to believe such expectations are acceptable. IPOS found that 56% of 16 to 34-year-olds deemed it acceptable for employees to expect their employees to check work-related communications out of hours. I call BS on it. We have compared with 34% to 35 to 75-year-olds. 75-year-olds. Because they want to go party. Look, the research also indicated that opinion is split as to whether a right to disconnect should be given priority over flexible working policies. 32% of respondents said it is more important to give employees a right to ignore messages from their workplace outside of working hours than it is to give them greater flexibility around how they work. Almost 37% said each policy is equally important. So what do you think about all this? Do you think they should ban it outright? After all, it's already within your right to not answer messages, etc., if you are unavailable or busy. It's called tough shit. Although businesses should have enough staff and organisation skills to cover without disturbing other workers who are on a day off or entitled to their 11 hours rest between shifts. And whilst for the moment work contact outside of work hasn't been banned, don't feel bad for not responding or ignoring messages, etc. Because again, you're entitled to your privacy and mental health. As one friend said, how do you think they coped when all we had was a landline? Is he there? No, he's not here. Let me know in the comments below what you think. So, I hope you found this video useful, and until the next video, take care and be well.